The Life Finder keeps Maev up. It was going to be a close thing.
And healing, what? Get out of, no! No!
Triple stun again. Big flanks coming out from the Blaze.
It's a death metal, though.
Death metal into the double, triple kill. Hey everybody, welcome to the show. We have Heroic Division, Yikes S tier versus Archon. So should be a pretty good matchup. Just getting into the lobby now. Archon had a rough start, I think, to the season with a loss, but since then have been doing pretty well for themselves. I'd actually have to take a look at the standing again to really know for sure exactly what we're looking at here between these two teams. This is essentially the 7th and 8th seed. So Archon has lost, it appears, 2 games. And then they lost 1, but won the series. So they've only actually dropped 1 set in the 4 matches that they've played so far. Yikes S tier's only played 3 games so far. This will be their 4th, and they're sitting at 6-1. So dominated 2, sorry, and won 1 other. So sitting pretty even. Should be pretty close between these 2 squads overall. Sitting in the... I don't need it. I think I am. Okay, should be good. Alrighty. Just waiting for everybody to filter in. Sort themselves out in the lobby. We get ready for the matchup. Let's pop up the overview. So, coin toss went to Archon. They went first pick. So we had Towers and Volskaya banned out from Yikes S tier. Shire and Sky Temple banned. Going to Battlefield of Eternity for team number 1. UE seems to be I think a favorite because I'm pretty sure last time Yikes S tier had map choice, they took us here as well on the last round that I cast. So they've only played, this would be their 2nd game. Cast both sets so far. Still relying on my memory for most of this. It's not always the most reliable. So Heroic Division is all sitting with a couple points due to Moto and Bro Army dropping from the season. Still waiting on a couple members of Yikes S tier to filter into lobby. Apologize, I feel a little bit low energy. I'm having some issues today, so Titus is still around. And I've been out and about doing stuff a lot today. Flare up some of the other issues. I'm just gonna be groaning over here in the corner a little bit. Yubico has filtered in. We're just waiting for the 5th member of Yikes S tier, and we should be getting right about underway in the matchup. I'm going to take a look at Archon. I can't remember exactly everyone that they've beat. I know they lost to Miss Most Skill Shots first round, as I think I cast that game. Yeah, so they were dominated by Miss Most Skill Shots. They've picked up 2 forfeits, which everyone has, which is Bro Army and Moto. And they 2-1 Amazing. So, I think Amazing is a team that most people have been expecting to perform quite well. But looking at Amazing's play so far, they lost 1-2 to Archon, and they lost 0-2 to Nobo. So the only reason they have points, actually, is based off of their record so far. I'm ready. So we can get into game number 1 right away. How's everybody doing tonight? It should be a good matchup. Hello, Velcomer. Thank you for showing up. I know I haven't followed through on the emote again, but again, I can't use any copyrighted material, so I have to draw it myself. I'm not an artist. And I just haven't had the opportunity to do so between being sick and a lot of it and kind of being super busy as well. And I need my wife's assistance to get this done because she can actually draw way better than I can, so probably the route I'm going to go. So we're kind of waiting on a different time table. Hang in there. I'll be there. However, I am going to be doing still more regular streaming, probably lots of Twitch things if that catches your eye, but a few other games too as well, including Heroes of the Storm outside of just casting. Tomorrow I was supposed to have a cast, but it got banned anyways. But let's get into the game itself, and I'm not even showing the draft because I'm just bad at this. So my bad. Just give me 2 seconds and I'll sort this out. There we go. So far, all that's happened in the draft is we had Zeratul and Alarak removed and then followed up by a Nubarak. I like the Alarak. It's an interesting pickup and I think still a strong hero, especially in the hands of skilled players. Doesn't have great popularity or win rate, but I still think it has plenty of impact. And if you are worried about anyone playing it, it can be pretty good. Sylve, I think in this division, just like every other division, is probably sporting an actually really good win rate. So, nothing to see here, folks. We are going to get ETC right off the bat. That's going to be picked up by Visionary. I need to swap players. Should be Jet. Blaze. So my tooltip is trolling me a bit. So we got Garrosh Chiron, which is a pretty good pairing. Definitely something that you see in all tiers of play. Some people like Malfurion, some people like but it's all the same really. We're going to see Genji ban as well as Phoenix. Genji, I think both sides of the table play it. I know Jet plays it. I know JTR plays it. So it's one of those things that in the right hand is always going to be a scary thing. So we're going to see JTR on the Vala. She's going to be making her comeback, and she's always been considered good on this map, so not really the biggest surprise there. Material's gonna help keep her alive, so is Anduin. And you know, we've got really squishy backline, but good tools to keep heroes alive on that side. So Chromie, let's see, Thrall. Rel, I think, is going to be making quite a bit of the comeback. You're going to see her played by several very good players on a pretty regular basis. So that's your matchup right then and there, folks. Welcome everybody to the stream. Hashtag whichever team you think is going to win this run, or just give a shout out to whichever team you're rooting for. Should be a good matchup between these two. Quite excited. I imagine everyone else should be feeling the same. All right, let's get those overlays to work, shall we? Perfect. There we go. Everything is updated. My tools are working. I'm not trolled on the wrong side by different players or by the tooltip Soothsayer itself. That should be it. We're getting into the game. Excitement, guys, excitement. And gals. Alrighty then, here we are into game number 1. Starting on the blue side, we're gonna have Yikes S tier, John Knight 1 on the Arel, Jet on the Chromie, Cubico on the Tehran, Shredderdoof on the Garrosh, and Mason Blaze playing Thrall. And on the other side of the map, we have Archon, JTR on the Vala, Fatal Rampage on the Tyrael, Little Bex playing Anduin, Midnight Haze playing the Leeming, and Visionary on the ETC. Take a quick gander at those early game talents, and we're going to see pretty much what you expect from standard. Renew on Anduin, Monster Hunter on Vala, so just looking for those kills. Power Hungry is a bit surprising. You see a lot of players go for the Aetherwalker now, just because of the low uptime on orbs, as you're not really cycling through lanes nearly as much. There's camps, and of course there's the orbs that spawn from the Immortal, but there's so much in middle of the lane fighting that's not in lane, and so little wave clear opportunities that lots of people don't like to go globe talents if they can help it on this one. But we're also going to see Progrock too as well, which I mean I guess is alright considering they don't have a lot of auto attacks to worry about, so Block Party doesn't seem that good. I do think Guitar Hero still would get value in a place like this, but if he can get that stacked, it's not the hardest thing. It's only 20 globes, but as you can see, we've had about 2 or 3 waves, and they're still only at 1. Now, this is the interesting part of this composition, is we have a 4v3 in the bot lane and a 2v1 in the top. It looks like they're playing this kind of like you would on Braxis, where you're sticking, you know, 2 heroes in the top lane while your main 3 just kind of make sure they don't lose a lot. But if you really look at the difference between these squads when it comes down to actual structure damage, like, it's almost the same. Actually, they actually have 1 more tower. So this tower is not going to be up for very long, so it's pretty much identical. So, I mean, if you're getting equivalent value, then why not? Both teams getting the camps too as well. Anduin's already rotated into this mid lane, and Vala's going to meet him so that they can at least try to still continue to poke this out. And it looks like Yikes S tier is just realizing that there's a low amount of pressure coming out here. We're going to see a throw in on ETC. And he actually might be in a really bad spot and doesn't manage to get away. And that's going to be first blood for Yikes S tier. Archon losing ETC nice and early. Tyrael doing a pretty good job, though, here in the top lane. Just very much getting the same level of value, it looks like, and structure and everything. John Knight 1 now, knowing that Vala is not here, is going to put the pressure on. But we're going to see a rotation from Cubico just to see if they can get a little bit of damage now. Rel has almost no mana. But... And the objective is up. Both teams are still trying to get their camps here. Mason Blaze is, again, a little bit of health damage and not a whole lot in terms of mana. So we're going to see the first bit of poke damage coming out from Vala. They're going to get the first little bits. And getting a significant lead, actually, from the poke. The defense is going to have to come in from Yikes S tier. We see a double stun onto a Rel and Thrall. Chrome is going to do her best to poke out, and we do see Thrall trying to get a positioning where they can flank. But the poke damage is just going to be better. We do see John Knight 1, though, get a lot of pressure onto JTR over here as he was stepping up a little bit into them. And so bottom camp's going to get cleared out. Top camp was a slow rotation as the pressure on the Immortal was really strong. So... looks like we're going to see halftime picked up by Archon here. The XS tier was getting a little bit of poke damage here, but a 3-man stun from Tyrande might actually get JTR killed here. He drops to 95 health. Thrall getting stunned and knocked back a bit, but definitely we saw the pressure coming out there from Yikes S tier. But we can see the top structure was in a much better state for Archon. And they're significantly farther ahead. Like, without kills here, they're just going to lose the objective. JTR just getting out. The stun doesn't quite hit him. That could have actually been a pretty rough spot if it had. Chromie's still just trying to pluck away, but you just can't stop all of this poke damage from coming in. And in the end, they probably were better off with the chase, but we are going to see a bunch of damage coming on a Divisionary. He's going to get a good power slide to keep himself alive. And that's going to be it. It looks like they might be looking to get into position to actually get some damage in. I mean, that's a really high shield. And the only significant poke they have is Chromie. And without Chromie fully stacked, the actual poke amount isn't going to be that great. It's going to take a little while for this to actually burn down. It is still an early Immortal, so front wall. But we can maybe see them get a little bit more than that, depending on kind of how the fights go. God Knight makes a great rotation, though, and they do pick off JTR. So now they're going to be able to just free clear this without very much pressure coming in. In fact, this fort won't go down. And in fact, their well will probably stay up. So it's a good rotation. That's what you want to get from your offlaner. You can sometimes sacrifice those... a little bit of experience to allow yourself to get advantages in other ways, and making that call rotation down from the top lane for John Knight to find that pick on a squishy target, and that's what you want your Rel to do. You want to get it into the back line and knock those squishy heroes out of position so that you can blow them up with your damage, and that's exactly what we saw happen. And they're gonna have to watch for that. They do have 2 tanks that are decent at peel, but they you know, still, still don't have a ton of tools to stop a Rel from getting it. ETC is the best for that, but ETC also has to worry about Garrosh, not allowing Garrosh to kind of just walk in and get a throw on any of his squishy targets. We see a stun come out. Rude attempt, but this pressure is tough for them to deal with. It's a 4v4 in the bot lane, and Chromie just gets a lot of free poke. Red Oof finishes his Groundbreaker quest at about 7 minutes and 10 seconds. I'd say that's reasonable. We do have Trash Lightning at 21 stacks, which is actually quite high. That's you need that. Like you definitely want to get it completed pre-10, which we're not going to have here. But I mean pre-10 minutes to get any significant value out of it. But I still honestly think that even on a map like this, Echo would probably be easier to stack up, and you get a lot more value out of it, especially from a, what do you say, macro sense, in the sense of being able to kill this. So each team is just going to focus on pushing up the lane and taking out each other's forts. Top fort was already pretty low, so that was kind of a foregone conclusion for Yikes S tier. They get a nice throw on the Visionary. He's going to have to use his power slide to get out. Now, I don't think they're going to be able to snag this fort, and they are going to have to rotate someone top to deal with that camp, as the camp plus wave is quite large incoming here and could do significant damage to this top lane. And as they do that, as soon as they see that Irel, they're going to move right in on this. And in fact, we know that was going to be the case, so Yikes S tier just goes for the trade. Irel should be back in time for the halftime show. Both teams sitting at pretty much the exact same experience, maybe a slight tiny lead for Archon, and this is the worst case scenario spawn for Yikes S tier. But they do find Avala, and that is going to change things significantly. The sanctification does come down, but it is too slow. So now they're doing their best to try to get this before things get even worse, and that's going to be a kill on Tyrael. We do need Yikes S tier to get in the way of some of these bombs being sent out from Li Ming and get that pressure in. The frontliners are going to have to do their best in putting some damage onto Archon to prevent them from losing this, and Midnight Haze is going to get the poke, and that's going to be it. So despite 2 kills again going to Yikes S tier, we are going to see the Immortals go to Archon. Now again, this was kind of a stroke of luck. Had these spawned on the opposite sides, Yikes S tier would have not only, would have been in a much better spot. But since that isn't what happened, we are going to see this with a very healthy shield be able to eat through the remainder of this fort, because this is the same lane that the Immortal went in last time. And it's going to get some keep pressure done. And we see a 5-man push coming up from Archon. They know they got lucky here, so they want to get as much value out of this thing as they possibly can get. And we can see Irel doing her best to position and get, it was a huge 3-man stun coming out from Shredded Oop. He gets a throw and a taunt. The stun comes out, and so does the mosh pit, but it's all interrupted there by the Sundering from Thrall. And that's going to be the end of the aggression, and really Yikes S tier is probably fine with this. While they do lose the front wall, the camp lane is top. So this is still significantly in a good spot. This camp they're not going to get. So they won't have anything pushing blindly into this lane and trying to get down here onto this side of the map without some sort of advantage. Archon's just not going to make that choice. We see a nice throw in by Garrosh onto Tyrael, but Tyrael is a very mobile tank. He can get out of situations like this quite well. So we're going to get the camp, and we're going to see Yikes S here try this one more time. See if we can get this fort down using the Khazra camp. And we see a nice flank from John Knight. I don't know if he's going to be okay. That was a good stun coming out from Visionary to help heal his backliner. But we see a really good engagement come out onto JTR again, and that was very close. If that sanctification hadn't come out, it would have been very tough. Light Bomb gets wasted here, though. It doesn't really do anything, and we're starting to see Yikes S tier start to really take control over the map. They're going to be able to come over here and steal this camp, and I don't think with all of those heroics that were burnt by Archon, they're going to be anywhere interested in taking a fight here. Now, I could be wrong. They may just really prioritize this, but Garrosh is a tough beast to poke through, and they're going to have to try to get positioning on these two heroes, and that was a really good holy ground to prevent that from happening. And I guess that's the one thing about camp control, is when you have Tyrael, he's going to prevent that from happening. So I understand the play from Yikes S tier. It was a good play. But you have to remember, when there's holy ground on the field, you basically don't have any camp control. Let's see if we can get a little bit more noise in the chat there. I know you guys like to just sit back and watch, but you know, I'm just not seeing enough activity there. So let's try to increase that up. You know, I complain about it every time. So how about you guys just constantly chat, and then I don't have to take time to complain about it. We did get the halftime show, and they're simultaneously trying to get this camp, and we do see the frontliners scouted out. And now Yikes S tier is aware, you know what I mean? They're a little more wary of this camp steal pressure, but they really have to get over here to defend. I mean, losing another Immortal is just not the situation that Yikes S tier wants to be in, and I don't think they can stop it from happening. So they're going to try to take the consolation prize, see if they can get some kills, but a good disengage with holy ground and all those things, and that's another Immortal that goes their way. And look at this top. It's actually taking a ton of pressure, so we're going to see Yikes S tier make a rotation. Now, this is a little bit odd. This front wall was already down, so, but you could argue that this is actually the weaker lane, given how much that camp got. And Yikes S tier is just having a hard time converting any of these kills or any of that kind of positioning into a victory. We see ETC trying to make something happen in the backline there, but they were zoned out very well by the frontliners on XS tier. But in the end, this keep is going to go down, and that's this is kind of the issue that I've been seeing from Yikes S tier in this whole game, is that they're giving up a lot of macro. Now they're going to ignore the Immortal because it's going to die anyways, and they're going to see if they can actually get a pick onto one of these targets. And ETC is probably just in a terrible spot. Sanctification plus Light Bomb, but he doesn't go back in, and that's not going to do them a whole lot. Starfall hitting numerous members. JTR super low. Great root onto the Tyrael. I don't think he's going to stay alive. Goomba Stomp comes out from John Knight 1, secures the kill, but the rest of the team does disengage, and I would say I would take a death for a keep pretty much any time. They probably didn't want to lose anyone there, and I know that they were posturing forward to see if they could get kills and end the game. But Yikes S tier didn't want anything like that to happen, so they played extremely safe, played smart, played back. Didn't give them that engagement that they were desperately looking for, and now they should have kind of run of the map. Starfall and Sundering are down, but Light Bomb and Sanctification are down, and those are significantly larger cooldowns. Obviously, you know, Mosh has its own threat, but Mosh also has a hard time getting off in a setup like this. And we see Tyrael looking for the flank, but John Knight 1 seemed to have been kind of aware of it. Nice into the fray by Garrosh, just to make sure that Tyrande doesn't get collapsed upon there. Bottom lane getting pushed out. It's going to take some damage from the catapults. 8 seconds. Positioning again in favor, but they scouted it out, and that's actually a terrible thing for ETC. There's no way he's going to live through it. JTR goes in to try to see if he can stall that out, but he eats a bunch of damage instead. So we are going to see a bit of a trade here. I guess they figure with the kill on ETC, it's a free reign, but I do think the race is still better on the side of Archon. But I do think we're going to get the halftime show by Yikes S tier first. So that was a really good pick on ETC, and we can see the posture now. Again, the Immortal RNG is just not working well for Yikes S tier here, and it's gonna make their immortal steel, assuming they can get it, just not as good. Kind of a rough situation there. They might be able to get half a shield, but we're gonna see Midnight Haze coming here for the block. Better defeats the damage. John Knight 1 needs to be tossed out, and now we're gonna see the full engagement come in. They're gonna be able to pull down about another quarter of this shield. And that's it's still an immortal, though. It's still an immortal for Yikes S tier. They'll clear up these catapults. It's in the lane that's being pushed the most. But we can see... Yeah, I think Holy Ground's going to come out, and that's going to secure it. We're going to see Mosh Pit go in, and that's a dead Garrosh. So this invade from Archon is getting a ton of value, and I don't think John Knight gets over the wall here. He's going to die. It's a 4 for nothing, and I think Archon can just end the game here. So despite winning the Immortal and a lot of the earlier fights, that fight didn't go our Yikes S tier's way, and that's going to be game number 1. So that's a really good example of having a win condition opening and winning a late game team fight on the opponent's side of the map. You do those if you have a win condition already opened through the rest of the map, and you win a fight, a major fight, 3 to 4 deaths on the opponent's side of the map, it's just GG, and that's exactly what we saw there. XS tier played a solid game up until that moment, and it basically turned around on them. However, they didn't do solid enough on the macro. The objective too often went to the side of Archon, and that did cost them in this game. Pull up the talent so everyone can see. Pretty much standard Q build with Siphoning Arrow from Vala. Basically the most meta build Li Ming can go. Crash Lightning with Thrall. I actually wasn't paying enough attention to see if you finished that talent. And yeah, that is your game number 1. Let's just put this to a quick break while we set up for game number 2. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to game number 2. Oh, I should pop this back on because, you know, it totally ties the look better together. Alrighty, so an abrupt finish to the game, but, you know, if you win hard enough in the macro like that and you take a good team fight, that's how you win games. We're going to be going very shortly to the next team. Yikes S tier took first pick. So we went map pick. We're going to be going to Tomb of the Spider Queen, picked by Archon. So let's pop that up on the stream so everyone can see. And we'll be getting into game number 2 shortly. Will be Tomb of the Spider Queen, game number 2. Archon wasn't significantly ahead most of that game. They just got a lot of macro advantage based off the objective. We're able to get an endgame team fight and quickly close it out. So I do think that Yikes S tier played mostly a solid match up until that point. And are definitely still something to definitely a team that can bring it back. Thank you, Mongoose, for the raid. Welcome to the stream, all you humans out there. Beware, might come. I don't like coffee. Something heavily caffeine that I like. Cola, whatever. Mongoose doing the solid and making sure everybody here is seeing what I am seeing, which is high tier heroic division play. That's what we're all here for today. Anna and Johanna banned from this map, and I think those are both very astute bans to make on this map. As you can anticipate, everyone at this tier to be playing kind of the power picks. And on Tomb of the Spider Queen, it's a great place for Anna, as it's a great place for mages. We're also going to see Jaina removed. Short rotations gives her good advantages, nice areas to flank, and get a lot of that extra big shot damage out. And Zeratul is also going to be picked off. Q-Build Zeratul was nerfed, but at this tier you can expect people going to be good at playing at playing the hero. So they might be able to hit you W, or they'll just be good at using the newly adjusted wormhole. So they're just going to remove that. Junkrat is going to be what's picked up, and I'm particularly partial to Junkrat on this map. I do think it's very good. And that's going to be responded to by another Anduin yet again. And a Sylvanas. Oof is going to take that ETC that it was very good in game number 1. Help secure that victory there. Strong here. Sylvanas is definitely one of my favorites in the current meta. And Lunara, Jet's going to pick up that Lunara and give us something with a little bit of two things. They're going to give you vision, and it's going to give you good sustained damage with a little bit of burst. So, depending on the build, which I expect to see similar to mine. Curious to see her stats in the division. 3% popularity, but 100% win rate. So Lunara looking pretty good, generally speaking, but though not very contested. Diablo's going to be banned out. Just making sure that Engage tank can't do anything to a backline. They're going to opt for the Mirrodin, which is definitely the lesser choice, I think, between the two. Late game Diablo can basically one-shot a Junkrat. And Lunara is not very safe either. So we're going to see Muradin Genji, though, and that's going to increase the power of that Muradin. When you've got something that can dive in nice and hard behind and get that extra bit of burst damage that you might be missing. I generally like Diablo Genji together, actually, as a really strong pairing. They're kind of like a goon squad. They run around and just smash people's faces in. It's so good players that kind of master that combo is just one of my favorite things. We're going to see Rhaegar's Toronto was banned out the last round, and I think that was pretty good. We saw multiple stuns coming out from Cubico that were very, very good. So let's see what Fatal Rampage goes for if he sticks with the Tyrael, which just almost single-handedly won them the last that single team fight that allowed them to get the game. But we're going to see the Leoric come out, so a little bit more macro-oriented, but don't be fooled. Leoric has won a very good matchup into Blaze, generally speaking. Has a lot of good dive potential, so it can follow up hard on the Muradin Genji engagements. Something we like to see. We do have a bit of a wave clear kind of disparity between the two, but I like the Junkrat into the Genji. I do think that it brings quite a bit of pressure into both those actual backliners. Lunara is a little safer than Junkrat, I think, in the sense that she has some tools that can deal with any burst damage and or like chain combos and stuns. Junkrat just is going to be hard to dive. If he doesn't position himself too far forward, it's just a hard target to dive onto. But Rhaegar and Lunara and ETC are all things that can be threatened pretty hard. And we're going to be relying a bit on that Blaze to help with the backline peels. But we're going to get right into the game. Here we are, game number 2. Starting on the blue side, we have Yikes S tier, Jet on the Lunara, Mason Blaze on the Junkrat, John Knight 1 on the Blaze, Shredded Oof playing ETC, and Cubico on the Rhaegar. And on the other side, we're going to see Archon looking for the 2-0 domination here. Little Bex on the Anduin. Oh, my stuff is flying around. I apologize for the terrible camera work. Midnight Haze on the Sylvanas, JTR on Genji, Visionary playing Muradin, and Fatal Rampage on the Leoric. Take a look at the opening handshake here. Nothing too amazing yet, just getting the wave clear. We can see the advantage definitely is in favor of Yikes S tier when it comes to that, but very well guarded, making sure that they don't snag too many gems off that. But again, that rotation is so fast that they're going to lose a bit of experience for it, and losing XP for gems, I think, is just one of those things that people just have to decide on what's worth, what's not. This map does have less experience awarded per minion, so it's one of the few maps that you can kind of sacrifice a minion here and there and it not really stack up to anything too significant. But if you stack up too many lost minions plus kills, then things get a little bit hairy. So ETC versus Muradin. This is classic Heroes of the Storm duel of the ages. I mean, these two have been at each other's throats since the dawn of time. And it will most likely continue to be that way. I don't need you chewing on my cables. Thank you, kitty. You can come visit me over here. So John Knight is going to play a bit of cat and mouse with Leoric. He's trying to bait out a W, which he does do. But it does land and get a little bit of value. And that's going to be your naturally expected lane kind of situation between those two. Blaze will mostly just get safe poke, but he's not going to be able to stall out that turn in, and that's 10 gems in. Now we do see JTR looking to get a little bit aggressive here. I'm not sure how aggressive he wants to get without Muradin. It's a little bit of a rough situation, and now we see a good rotation coming in from Shredded Oof. I'd like to see the power slide, not just the knockback. I think he was trying to knock him back a mid-dash, as I assume JTR was expecting a power slide. And I think that that's one of those little mind games that you start getting in higher tier play. Is he going to power slide? Is he not going to power slide? Is he going to dash? Is he not going to dash? And sometimes you just got to pull the trigger on something, anticipating a move, and see if you get a little bit lucky. Visionary getting knocked back. I don't know if he has his Dwarf Toss. It doesn't matter. He does get Leap of Faith, but it comes out so slow that it just in the end doesn't net them anything, and that's going to be a kill. First Blood going to Yikes S tier for the second game in a row with that kill on Muradin. The orc misses the spooky hand, and that's generally what I would say is like the key for the cue for Blaze to just get up in his face. He might get zoned off on these gems. I'm not entirely certain yet. It looks like he's not going to be able to pick them up. Well done by Fatal Rampage. In the mid here, we finally are back to the regular 4-4. It looks like Muradin is going to get Chain CC'd, knocked back. He has to Dwarf Toss out. Gets poked out still pretty hard. It is a Muradin though, so when you hit poke damage like this, it doesn't generally stick. He doesn't take third wind, so his recharge time is still going to take a little while. It was a good route there by Mason Blaze, and that's the thing about Junkrat that's going to help keep himself alive. He's got to get that type of CC down as frequently as possible. Turn-ins are being attempted here by Archon, but now Mason Blaze is getting a little bit more pressure as no one was positioned in a spot to be able to keep Mason Blaze from getting engaged upon. But of course, this is all just a ruse and stall tactics intended to make sure that they don't get the turn in while they grab the camp in the bottom. And unfortunately, they were one gem off from getting a full turn in here. Little Bex is going to do her best to get that turn in to happen, but it won't. And looks like their only hope here is going to be Fatal Rampage. Visionary getting power slid again. He has to use Dwarf Toss to get out, taking a lot of damage. So that front line is still pretty weak. It's not sitting very strong or in a very tough position. And Fatal Rampage is actually losing quite hard in the bot lane, but it looks like, oh, what a stall. Mason Blaze actually makes the rotation in time, stalls out Visionary from getting that single turn in. And Leoric does eventually go down. Blaze getting the kill. I wish I was actually watching that a little bit further. I got a little bit distracted, and that was a really good pickoff by John Knight in the bottom lane. He basically solo killed him. And I think he baited him into a false sense of security with this the pickup. You know, sometimes Leorics just assume they have the advantage. Now, the thing is with the kill is that, of course, Leoric, it's trait value. See Visionary, see if he can step up onto... can he stop both? He does manage to stop both. Visionary super low. Genji getting poked and slowed and hit with everything. Lunara is just gonna go for the split damage splintered spear. I mean, you do get plenty of burst damage, and that's gonna be blue web weavers coming out. You do get plenty of burst damage from Leaping Strike, which I'm almost 100% certain they're gonna go take. I definitely prefer Choking Pollen. Yes, it can be a rough skill shot to land in some situations, but it's a pretty short cooldown and it does a lot of burst damage. And if you're pairing it with a lot of other things like Blaze Slows, or ETC Stuns, or Mosh Pit, or any of that kind of stuff like that, you're adding a significant amount of burst damage that they won't be able to deal with. And you still have your spread. Like, you just get your auto attacks out on several targets. See JTR going in to see if he can put a little pressure on a Mason Blaze, but the Rhaegar healing is working out. It's keeping everyone alive. We get the John Knight rotation as they see everyone really low. Leap of Faith tries to keep them alive, and that's going to be 2 kills there by Yikes S tier. So they zone them off of a lot of those gems as well. No, I mean, keep in mind they only need 1 gem, but this is really the best value you can ever hope to get off of a first Web Weaver. 2 full forts. I think with that kill, making the rotation into the bot lane and getting the third fort is not out of the question. The full wall is down, and this wave is already pushing up. So, yeah, Jet's going to take a couple shots. So shredded oof, but they should be able to push this in and get at least a significant amount of damage onto the structure. Turn-in is going to be tough to prevent. Mason Blaze has to stick his neck out to do it, and it's a little risky when you've got Genji on the other side for Junkrat to get a little bit too far forward without, you know, an adult, as some others would say. Good route, though, into a fantastic mine. Is going to put Visionary into a spot where he has to drop our... Avatar. But Fatal Rampage is super low, and that's going to be kill onto Leoric. Visionary also not going to live, and that's another 2 kills on the front line. Yikes, S tier, 7 kills to 0. They don't appear to be too impressed with losing the first game. And despite the turning coming in from Archon, which wasn't exactly difficult, they only needed 1 gem to do it. I don't think it's going to get them a whole lot. In fact, they might actually lose the bot lane, but Cubico's out of position, does not get Ancestral off, so we do get a return kill. That Fatal Rampage being able to use trait value to come back nice and quickly was enough to be able to help secure the kill on Rhaegar, who appeared to be overextended, but the reality is this Webweaver phase is going to do next to nothing. As Junkrat should be able to pretty much easy clear this. They might get a front wall. That's pretty much all you can expect out of this. They might, if they get kills, they can definitely press up a little bit further, but it doesn't even look like the front wall's going to go down, and that's just absolutely the worst. 7-1 in kills. John Knight gets a huge stun onto 2 in the back, and Jet is getting all of that extra damage onto JTR. He goes down. Genji is dead. Little Bex is the next to fall. Midnight Haze is not going to be able to get out of this clean either, and that's another kill, and that's going to be 3 going down. Entomb comes down to keep himself alive, basically, but it looks like, as we can see here, they don't give a damn. It's just a, it's just going to be a free boss. Plus turn-in probably off the back end of that too as well. They might actually stall out the turn-in here. They probably should have tried to line those up a little bit closer, but I mean, they're in such a commanding position at this moment that it doesn't really seem to matter. Now, Archon did a pretty good job of making sure that they got a bunch of turn-ins there so that if they do die, they don't lose any more gems. There's been a bit of a problem so far. But they don't manage to get the web weavers. So this boss is pushing in. It's a 3-man defense in the top lane. They do get this bottom camp, so that's going to slow down the push just a little bit. The boss is going to get cleared up, and we're going to see Yikes S tier just clear up the bottom lane. Make sure that that's going to push mostly free and clear. Top web weaver's going to get cleared up. And all the boss and top web weaver actually managed to do this whole time is get the front wall, and not even that. But mid wall is gone, and this is a pretty healthy, pretty damn healthy web weaver. And the bottom lane's gonna start getting cleared up by Leoric, but that also means they're 5v4 in the mid lane with the web weaver, and that's probably gonna secure mid keep. We'll probably see Leoric make the rotation up. I don't know. The web weaver does go down, so he did do enough damage to it in the bottom lane, and I'm just not entirely certain that's all you wanted to get out of that turn in there, Yikes S tier. As all they really managed to do was get a fort and half a keep in the mid lane, and I think with the boss plus keep or plus turn in, what you really want to be looking there is for top keep and core. But things were not lined up perfectly. I think they worried too much about this bottom lane, what was going on there with the camp. And if they had a full push, that top lane could have been a real problem there for Archon. They're going to do their best to try to get another turn in, but things are not looking good poke-wise for the side of Archon, and they're just going to get completely exploded there by Jet and Mason Blaze on the Junkrat. The Riptire coming through, and then the Leaping Strike onto Sylvanas just means too much burst damage. So, despite not getting what they wanted probably out of their Webweaver boss combo in the last round, they are going to pick up a kill on Sylvanas, and that generally means, hey, we do have a weak mid-keep, and all I don't know, JTR might be in big trouble. Great stun coming in from John Knight, but that leap of faith for once actually keeps the target alive. And that's going to be mid-keep gone, camp that they have to deal with, almost turning. We're 8 away. And look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 gems in the top lane. But John Knight is going to get rotated on. I don't know if he can get away. He's going to do his best. Fatal Rampage is also going to make the rotation up here. Blaze is going to drop the bunker, keep himself alive. And now the rotation comes in from Yikes S tier, and this might have been a bit of overcommitment, and that double stun is going to guarantee the kill onto 2, maybe 3. I don't think Little Bex gets out of this. Light Bomb's going to do its best to keep himself alive, but he has to run back into the team to do that, and I think that's game. I think you just go right around the corner here, and you just go for core, and I don't think there's really anything that can be done about it. They're going to push up the wave. The Webweavers are going to come out, so this is going to be a rough core. We do see a good silence coming out to it. Still 18 seconds on Anduin. Still 7 seconds remaining on Genji. But with the kill on Sylvanas, I just don't think they have the tools to stop this from being a full-on core. It's a tough call, though, as there is a lot of low health targets here. But I think Jet being able to get all the extra pressure, plus that fantastic mosh pit just to stall things out, is going to guarantee game number 2, and that is going to be Yikes S tier taking us to game number 3. And, yeah, I just don't think that there was any hope on the side of Archon for most of that game. They never won a major team fight. They had one, maybe two, they had one pick-off that actually mattered at all. And that last attempt to kill the Blaze, I think if they were all there and on point a little bit faster, it could have been rough, but that's why Blaze is hard to gank. He drops that bunker and you're not going to get the kills. John Knight played a really good game. He got that solo kill on the Orc in the bot lane. We saw so many double and triple stuns coming out. Shredded Oof. Every single time I see him play that ETC, it's just the scariest thing in the world. And Mason Blaze got some just incredible value with that Junkrat. So pretty happy with the whole thing. Those are your talents for everybody. Sorry about that. And we'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. We're going to game number 3, and this seems to be the same thing that happens every time I play, or I've casted these guys as we go to game 3. So Archon won the first game through a good macro sense. They didn't win a lot of team fights in the early game, but they got one good one in the end game, and having the win condition, they ended up coming out with the victory. In game number 2, I would have to say Yikes S tier just kind of had control of the game. There wasn't really any situation I felt like they managed to get any type of momentum in their favor. They had 1 kill, but it didn't matter at the time. They'd already lost so much on the map that the web weavers they got just didn't do anything, didn't make anything happen, and that's the nature of Tomb of the Spider Queen. But we do have our third map. We are going to be going to Infernal Shrines. This is another map picked by Yikes S tier as Archon went for first pick. And so we're just waiting for everybody to get into the lobby and give the R's. I'm going to put mine out there. And just say I'm ready to go. Well, thanks for sharing, Mr. Gear. I'm sure you can tell him that directly. And I think we're just about ready. R's from each captain have come out. And we are already getting into draft. That's what I like to see. I like to see efficiency. Everyone is here to play and excited to do so. Blaze really worked for them in that game. I was quite impressed. We're going to see Garrosh banned. I don't know if it was banned in the last rotation, but it's certainly being looked at this time. So we're going to see Garrosh go by the wayside. I don't even know what Garrosh's current stats are. Let's take a look. 20% popularity rate with a 57% win rate in Heroic Division. So that's significant. I would say that's a pretty good win rate overall. Probably enough to warrant a ban. I didn't take a look at Jaina last time, so I'm going to take a quick gander at what she's sitting at. 36% win rate with a 70% popularity rate is actually quite low. Not what you want to see out of that pick, that's for certain. Anna, of course, is going to be banned again. And, considered one of the top tier healers, 50% win rate at 70%. That's a significantly better stat line than we saw from Jaina. So, probably a little more worth. And Alex Strauss is an interesting ban. I think this is more of a target ban situation. It is good on this map for sure, but they have to play it. It's 21% popularity with 67% win rate. And yeah, with those bans, you are leaving up Zeratul, which we actually saw in the last time I set up these stats, is sitting at some crazy, insane high win rate. Yeah, 80% at 39% popularity rate. So that's a pretty scary thing to leave on the table, especially for a player like JTR. So hoping here, I guess, for Yikes S tier that choice doesn't bite them in the ass. We are going to see Raynor, Junkrat, so both DPS options picked right off the bat. Definitely unconventional drafting there. That's not normal. And we're going to see the Lord of Terror, Diablo, make his debut. Now, don't get me wrong, Mason Blaze played a fantastic Junkrat, and if anyone got a big boost from the last patch, Raynor is definitely one. As all auto attackers have improved more or less because of it, and especially when you look at his speed talent at level 13, his ability to just flat out kite things with that can be stupid, just absolutely ridiculous. I'm actually curious about Raynor's stats this season in Heroic. I actually expect them to be low. But 51% popularity at a 50% win rate and 7 KDA is actually decent. That's a respectable stat line. I'm curious about Hanzo. Not nearly as good a stat line. So, while we have a pretty OP hero here, and being banned this time, so not really wanting the back in there is the ETC. And I wonder if the ETC was the right call. Raynor does have a better stat line than Hanzo, and I know that Midnight Haze tends to specialize both those heroes. He likes to play Hanzo, he likes to play Raynor, so interesting. Did we show Junkrat stats last time? I can't remember. 100% win rate, 16%. So, I mean, lower popularity rate than Zeratul significantly, but a very high win rate. Means that that's still a scary damn hero. And we're going to see Tyrande again from Cubico. And some people might not know this, but Sonya is basically a John Knight special. It is something that he, at least himself, believes to be an extremely strong pick. But now I'm kind of concerned, as Chen is a super powerful hero and generally wins the 1v1 matchup between himself and Sonya. But we're going to get the fabled double support Junkrat Raynor, Sonya, Uther Tyrande. That's an interesting pickup. I like the draft, but at the same time, I really like Archon's draft. The Diablo is just fantastic on this map. Chen enables dive so well. A well-played Hanzo can get a lot of pressure done, a lot of work done. So it's a bit of a close one for me. I can't just flat out say which one I prefer the most. I think they're both good. I think double support on this map can be incredibly good. And at the same time, I do think that the dive from with Void Prison setup, APOC, like lots of Wamba, lots of dive can be a severe problem for Yikes S tier. But let's not continue to speculate and just get straight into the game. On the blue side, we have Yikes S tier looking for that second actual victory that wasn't a bye of some sort. In round number 4, we have John Knight on Sonya, Mason Blaze on Junkrat again, Shredded Oof on the Uther, Jet playing Raynor, and Cubico on the Tyrande. And on the other side, we have Archon, Visionary on the Diablo, Fatal Rampage playing Chen, Little Bex on the Stukov, JTR on Zeratul, and Midnight Haze playing the Hanzo. And my camera work needs work. Alright, I was trying to reposition a kitten. Falling asleep, half on my mouse pad, half under my butt. Go figure that one out. So instead, she's just lazing on my chest. So I like the Uther pick, and I like the Zeratul pick. I do think Uther does allow some good control of Zeratul. Let's see what Zeratul is going for. It is going to be Q build. So they're looking for the late game. That late game with Q build and VP setup. And it looks like it's going to be Diablo taking the initial a lot of pressure, and Raynor does get the pick off, does get the kill, and this is going to be a successful invade. Chen rotated down to see if he could find anyone low to maybe get a dive upon, but would still be a risky situation. Mason Blaze eats some Hanzo damage. We see Hanzo going for the Redemption build. I don't mind Redemption. I think I really do think that you can make arguments for all 3 of Hanzo's level 1 talents. They do dictate the path that you tend to go after that, but I think that's generally good talent design. If you kind of always want one talent to lead into another and be synergistic and make it so that your builds make sense. And they're not just kind of a bunch of random abilities. And we're going to see another pick off on Diablo. So, I mean, Diablo really having a rough time here with the double stun and the great sustained damage that comes out from Raynor. Raynor's just going to your standard build. Beast in the hole into fight or flight. Good boop on Little Bex, but they aren't really positioned anywhere to get any significant value out of that. And just look at all this pressure coming out from Yikes S tier. I mean, they're almost level 6 before they were almost level 6 before Archon hit level 5. Now, they did fall behind a little bit, but they were able to get a lot of pressure onto this bottom. They got the front wall down. They put a lot of pressure onto the actual building itself. They have rotational advantage. They took these two camps into the bottom part of the map, and they're going to be able to get the initial shrine clear out of the way. And that is all really good things that you want happening on a double support composition that tends to struggle with macro in a lot of cases. So now they get to get a little bit of both. They get macro advantage and they get a little bit of and then they still get to kind of force team fights because they can't very well leave this alone. There's not a lot of great macro pressure coming out from Archon, but Sonya is getting picked on over here. But Elun's Chosen goes down to keep her alive. The auto attacks are coming out. Shredder Doof in the middle there. He might actually go down, but it's Chen that's actually low, and he's actually about to drop. And I don't know if he's going to live. He does manage to get his drink in and keeps him alive. And it's actually Raynor that goes down here. So with the camp pushed up, with that kill there, Archon making a statement that they're not going to be marginalized in this game, much like they were on Tomb of the Spider Queen. Both teams still trying to kind of poke in here and see if they can get the race. We do get the initiation coming out from Sonya. They're swinging through 37 to 34. Things are getting a little bit hairy here. 38 to 37, 39, and it is going to be a blue Punisher just in time. Raynor's going to show up. We're going to see the and it looks like Diablo is the fish again, and he gets caught and gets blown up there using dynamite. Yeah, 10 souls Diablo. We're at 46 now, but that's 3 kills on him so far. It's been a kind of a rough game for him. Those are the in-game stats, and that's a Stukov getting picked off there. This stun combo is really working out a lot. All the damage is there. They stand still long enough. You're gonna get enough out of the Raynor Junkrat to really pressure in, and that's a really good start. They take the top fort. This thing's still healthy. It's gonna get picked up right now, but that is how you want to start a Yikes tier. Winning the objective, getting follow-up kills after the objective, taking the forts as they go down. That sets you up for super strong early game. And back to the stealing of camps. Chen is not even trying to match Sonya's soak at this point. He's stuck in the bot lane. We're going to see, I think, Zeratul attempting to actually keep up with it, which I think is fine. When you're going Q build, you don't have a lot of early game pressure, so just doing the clear yourself. You do have faster wave clear than Sonya, and you can do it pretty safely. Chen's gonna poke in there, but there's 4, so there's not a whole lot he can do. Sonya's just gonna keep her wrath up, hitting walls. Fury, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, for bottom, I haven't really been paying attention here, but we're gonna get a pick off on Hanzo in the bot lane. Midnight Haze getting a little bit too far out there, and yeah, I don't think he's been able to actually stack Redemption so far. I think that was his first death, so he was not stacked. He was at 10 stacks before dying. That's a rough situation. DTR is going to get hit by the chain stun into a ripped tire, and that is going to be a deleted Zeratul. Things going from bad to worse here for Archon. Both forts in the top and bottom are gone, and the mid fort's almost dead. They back off just in time before the engagement comes in from Archon. No D-shield, but as we can see there, it does mean that anytime they land even an initiation stun, there's going to be stun after stun after stun. And even if it's Diablo, they're going to take an absolute incredible amount of damage from it. Now, Diablo is almost fully stacked, and that's going to make killing him a lot harder, but we do get a 20% damage reduction on every single time they get a stun chain onto him, and that's still a risky spot for him to be in. And Stukov only has one good level of burst damage on a pretty long cooldown, 20 seconds or something like that. So if that gets baited out prior to the time they open up onto a target, he's going to really struggle to actually keep anyone alive. And Sonya just lives on these shrines. As these minions get up, that usually gives her the ability to actually engage. We're going to see Chen try to actually fight her, but again, Chen has an advantage over that fight when she's not in minion waves, when she's not fighting on minions. We have Lightning Breath coming out, and it doesn't really get a whole lot of value. Now we're going to see Hyperion see if it can pressure out. Chen has already been popped. John Knight 1 might actually be isolated enough to get the kills, but he just kind of spins to win to get out, and that's going to be the chain stun onto Diablo after Riptide finishes off Zeratul. And that is going to be another objective won handily by Yikes S tier. 13-11, talent tier advantage. This camp got incredibly good value, taking down the top wall and actually putting a lot of pressure on him. Midnight Haze almost getting picked off by Tyrande Owl. And this is an arcane Punisher that's been tuned down a little bit from what it was before, so it's not like that guaranteed gonna kill everyone on the enemy team kind of level, but it's still a very strong Punisher, and it's still absolutely going to do a lot of damage. And we're going to see all of it coming through. Front wall is going to be completely deleted. Punisher below half health, so the poke damage to kind of bring it down has been pretty good. Void Prison is still up, so I'm expecting JTR to look for it. And they get it on Sonya, and that's the only target that they really managed to land this onto. She might still go down, but late game Sonyas get hard to kill, especially once you start getting into into all of this with Wrath too as well. Like the stun change isn't coming out, and actually Chen overextending might actually die. He stays alive. Now Visionary's in trouble though. A huge 3-man Divine Storm is going to be a kill onto Diablo. I don't think JTR stays alive either. Zeratul goes down, and now Little Bex gets booped over the wall by a fantastic Junkrat mine from from Mason Blaze. And you know, here's a guy really showing you how it's done on Junkrat, finding those pickoffs, and I don't know, this could actually be another encore. But I do see mana's really low in Shredded Oof, health is really low, Cubico doesn't have a lot of mana. So they're not actually going to go for the encore here, but that's a keep down. 11-1 in kills. Things going from bad to worse for our friends in the red. John Knight getting engaged upon by Chen. And again, up to about level 13, I think Chen kind of has the advantage somewhat in that. Wrath does equalize things out a bit. But once you start hitting 16-20, I don't think Chen can just kill Sonya anymore. I think it becomes a bit more of an actual fight between those two. More of a skill matchup kind of thing. And you don't want to be dropping like Storm, Earth, and Fire just to kill a friggin' Sonya. Alrighty. Looks like Yikes S tier wants to find a flank onto some squishy targets, and it just doesn't look good for Chen. He's going to get super low. Stagger comes out, goes for the drink. I think he might have went to pop SCF, but it didn't really come out in time, and that's going to be another kill. Looking to leverage that 16 advantage. Hyperion comes through to help burn down the wall. They're not going to step up in here, although I really feel with this camp, they could probably have pressured this keep. There's two camps in the mid, too. Like, if they didn't have someone peel off like Zeratul, then it was going to be able to get core damage. But they're just going to use the camp pressure that they did generate to get the Punisher. And you could definitely argue that the Punishers still do a hell of a lot more than any of the camps are going to do. So why not just go get the advantage there? You know, you've got them in a checkmate position. They're not going to have 16 anytime soon. This Punisher, if uncontested, is going to push down this top keep and is going to be threatening core. So you know, this is still a very scary situation. We're only 12 minutes, almost 13 minutes into the game. There still is a chance to come back, but it has to be one off the back of a really good team fight from Archon here. They aren't going to bother fighting this out, which makes complete sense, but here's the kicker. I don't know if they're going to get enough out of the macro in other locations. We're going to see them actually push up here, and it looks like JTR might get scouted out. And Cubico plus Jet looking to see if they can find positioning on JTR. They do see him. That is a raw stun almost landing. If he was not mounted, he was absolutely going to get caught there. And that could have been a very bad situation. But we're going to see them grab the objective and prep this lane. I mean, this keep, there's no way it's staying alive. They got nowhere to bait it to. They got to actually try to bait it behind the keep while looking for a fight past it. But fighting into 16s, into a double support composition like this is still a scary prospect. And we're going to see the Punisher first get its initial jump onto Chen. That's roughly where you want it to go. Either Diablo or Chen, perfectly fine. Chen might even be better just because he's a tad bit more mobile. And this is exactly the thing. The keep is gone. This is still a half-health immortal, and we're just going to see the pressure coming out onto the core. And I don't know if there's enough to do it. Void Prison's going to help stall things out. Chen goes down, and I just don't think that that's going to matter. In the end, it's just going to go to the side of Yikes S tier. And an absolute dominant victory in game number 2. So there is your end of match. I will see if I can prep myself up for the for an interview here. And here's your talents for the end of that match. So GG, Yikes X tier takes another victory, but not a domination. Again, for the second week in a row, do manage to drop a game. And then let's go to caster logo, change appropriate one. There we go. And we are ready, sir. Hello, Jet. How's it going? Welcome. Doing great. So another week, another victory, yet not another domination. We have 2 weeks now where you guys have actually played matches and still seem to be dropping a game here and there. What happened game number 1? Oh, hold on a second. Hold on a sec. Sorry, folks. You probably can't hear them. So let me switch this up so that you can. All right. Speak for me.
All right, my good, not sweet. Okay.
Everyone can hear you. I've got Jet here from Yikes S tier, and everyone heard my questions, so go ahead with the answer.
All right, so we actually felt like really comfortable going into game 1. We like, BOE is a pretty comfortable map for us, but we made some pretty bad like macro calls that game, and they punished us really hard for it. We felt like our draft was a little iffy as well, but they drafted really well. Other than that, it was really just our macro was the problem in that game. Felt like our team fights were pretty good though.
I actually called out in there that you kind of got screwed by RNG a bit. While the first protect or immortal swap always goes to opposite sides, all the ones after that are random. And the two after that went to the opposite sides when you guys were behind on the race. And they, of course, have Vala Ming, which makes it difficult for you guys to be able to burn down while also protecting them. Even if you're getting kills, which you were all that game, they basically made it impossible for you guys to win the early objectives. So despite really winning most of the team fights and actually having good control over the map in general, the fact that they won 3 consecutive objectives, took the top keep, made it so that when they went for your camp, they were able to actually end off of the kills because you guys took a bad fight there.
Yeah, I started the camp and I shouldn't have. I should have just stayed away from it, just went back and, helped with my team. But yeah, I agree. Like the spotting was perfect for Li Ming to poke it down. While me as Chromie, like it's really hard for me to hit her in that little area.
Yeah.
So, and my main job was to race as well.
So it's just, I think, a bit of RNG, and then, just that late game team fight. And because they'd gotten so lucky with the Immortals and been able to push it through, winning that one team fight was the only one they won all game. It because they wiped 4 of you and they were on the opposite side of the map meant, we can core here. And that's just an unfortunate experience, right? You hate it when you see it. But at the same time, you know what I mean? It's also one of those things that you can shrug off pretty easy. And I think going into game number 2 on Tomb of the Spider Queen, that was pretty well showcased. So game number 2, you went for the Lunara instead of the Rainer that we saw in game number 3. What specifically is the reason that you like to do that? Is it just because the wave clear with Splintered Spear's better, or what's kind of your thought process on that hero?
Well, Lunara, for me, I'm really comfortable with her on that map simply because she has she has decent wave clear, especially after level 7. But after level 10, her lockdown kill potential is also kind of insane with, leaping. But yeah, she just kind of is a bit of everything. So I felt really good picking her there. Also, the Wisp, we actually got a lot of value on that so that Genji could never gank bot. We always saw. So it was really nice to have that hero on that map.
Were you concerned about the Goon Squad coming out with the Diablo and Genji, considering that you did have 2 pretty squishy backliners, even Rhaegar for that matter, that can kind of get isolated and bursted by those 2 quite quickly?
We actually didn't think about it too much, simply because we were more focused on playing our game that match. We kind of I felt like in the first match we kind of played around them a little bit. In the second match, we just played our game and it felt really good.
I've got a personal question on Lunara because it's a hero that I have been enjoying playing and picking up quite a bit. Level 7. I generally prefer Choking Pollen because you can get incredibly good burst off of that. Can you give me an insight onto why you didn't opt for that one over Splintered Spear in that particular matchup?
I wanted our poke to be insanely good. Like, we had Junkrat already for the poke, but I wanted to make sure that they could literally never engage on us without being half health first.
Yeah.
So that getting that Q and I would like instantly W when I Q'd. There's nothing that they can engage on when they're half health like that.
And mass slows make it difficult to either engage and also disengage, which is, we saw quite a bit of that where Genji and Diablo are trying to get out and they can't go anywhere. They're just stuck. Yeah. And when you follow that up with Blaze slows and then follow-up stuns and ETC who controls that kind of thing so well, I was really impressed with game number 2. Mason Blaze, I'm pretty sure I've now casted him play like Junkrat 5 games in a row or something like that. Like, I
mean, if it works, it works, I
mean, he seems to be a Junkrat one trick, and it like I said, I think you guys are pretty much undefeated on the hero at this point. So
I wouldn't say he's a one trick, but at the same time, like, he's playing insane now, and why stop when we're
those boops in both
well?
Games were devastating for
dude. His rip tires though, those were insane.
Yeah. But there was a lot of good setup too as well, and I think that the thing with Riptire, and a lot of the times it's not like you're solo killing anything there. It just needs to be there for the follow up. But the setup from the rest of the team is really well, and we saw that now Moot transition into game number 3. with the Raynor, Junkrat, Uther, Tyrande, and Sonya. Tell me a little bit about the thought process behind the, having the Junkrat Raynor combination, and then just how are comms when you guys are calling those chain stuns, because there was nothing overlapped, and I really, whenever I see that, that's when you're hitting the highest level of shot calling, when you're being able to just like time out that kind of stuff so well.
Well, honestly, it's really we see one of them out of position, and luckily all of us, we play really well together. We like, one person might call the stun initially, but we're instantly following up on it because we play so well together. We know how we play, and we've been really working on how to punish mistakes. But yeah, like John, his comms on calling stuns is literally all you can hear, and it's perfect. Like that's exactly what you want. As for me, like when I was playing Raynor, that's what I want to hear, is exactly when my tank, anybody that has CC is going to CC, so I can follow up on it the best. And that's like top tier shot calling right there.
For sure. Again, a little insight on the, you could have gone Lunara again. You could have gone a few other things like Vala that we've been seeing pop up a little bit more. It also with, and just maybe answer this kind of in a combo, you guys went for kind of an uncommon Junkrat Raynor first pick. You didn't take any of your other picks in that rotation, which I thought was interesting. Maybe give me a little bit of insight onto why that was. Were you trying to deny an option pick from, say, I know Midnight Haze plays a lot of Raynor as well as like Hanzo and things like that. Maybe you guys scouted that. Just give me a little bit of insight onto that choice.
Well, I believe they first picked Zeratul, so
yes.
I wanted to pick Raynor instead of Lunara. Like, Lunara reveals Zeratul pretty nice, but Raynor can survive Zeratul and deal out a ton of damage to him, and that's exactly what happened. But the Junkrat, basically the same thing. Mason's just playing insane right now, so why stop when we're just doing so well? And the double healer that we went, the double support, we felt that it was really good. We banned out the Anduin, so that because they played that both games, and it would have worked really well with Zeratul with VP. And once they picked Stukov, really, we saw that they didn't have any cleanse. So it was like, why not go double healer with insane CC combos?
Yeah.
They can't do anything about it, kind of thing.
Were you concerned if they picked away, say, the Tyrande, which was doing so well, and your guys' follow-up, or banned it away in the next rotation? Because like I said, you guys did go for your two DPS choices first. I'm just kind of curious about that.
I think we would have definitely had to kind of veer around the Tyrande pick. Like, we would have had, like, I don't know if main tank Uther would have still worked, just because Tyrande has double cleanse.
So you guys had a plan, even if they did ban that, to maybe transition it into something else.
Yes.
Okay.
It was we had a plan coming into the match, and it turns out that they kind of drafted into it, so it worked really well.
Perfect. Well, despite that, that's a pretty good victory for you guys. Archon did beat Amazing, which, I mean, I know a lot of people have been watching out for to be good, although they haven't been putting up the numbers, so I'm not entirely certain what your opinion is going forward. But who are your biggest threats upcoming next, would you say?
Honestly, right now, if we can play like we did those last two games, we feel really confident that we could beat just about anybody. But I mean, of course, Mismo skill shots, they're playing out of their mind right now. Celeb is really good, but really other than that, like, we feel confident in our play right now. We're practicing a lot together, and we're doing really well.
Yeah, Mismo skill shots actually took the 2-0 domination over Archon, and that was actually my first heroic cast this season. So it was either that or BBW Keanu Reeves, although I think I did both those in the same day or something like that, so I get a little bit confused. So, definitely the fact that you guys do get the victory here is good, and I'm definitely really looking forward to that matchup between you guys and Mismo skill shots, because MMS does look like the team to beat currently in the standing so far.
Yeah, we always look forward to it when we can be considered as the underdogs. We really look forward to those kind of matches.
Well, that's good, right? You get a chance to kind of prove yourselves. Well, as we wrap things up, any shout outs that you have for the end of the night?
Yeah, I just my team shredded, John Knight, Mason Blaze was Mason Plays tonight, and Cubico. These guys, their shot calling was insane. It's so easy to DPS when I'm around players like these guys. Yeah, that's about it.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for joining me, Jet. Congratulations on the victory, and I look forward to catching you guys further on this season.
Thanks. Look forward to it.
Good night. Alrighty, everybody. That's going to be it for me. Thank you for showing up to the matches. They were fun. I love game 3s. They definitely get the most that we can out of it. And I just really enjoy it. If you haven't already, please hit the follow button. And if you're feeling generous, you can sub, you can biddy, or you can donate to the tip jar at the bottom of the screen. And any little bit helps me and the stream. I did have a cast for tomorrow, but that seems to have been canceled. I guess it was rescheduled maybe to a later time. I'll take a look at it, see if there's anything still remaining for me to pick up tomorrow. If not, I'll probably be just doing some of my own personal stuff, and you can always pop onto the channel and check that out anytime you guys are feeling up to it. I appreciate everyone on the in the chat, and everyone that so far supported the channel. Yeah, so thanks a lot, guys. Have a wonderful night. I'll see if I can find somebody to throw the host over to, so just stick around a little bit longer. Thanks. Peace.